Hey, Jeffrey. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Let's Talk One-on-One with Uncle David. Uh-oh. It's been a long time. Okay. Still trying to work out the kinks. Tonight, my guest is Miss Jamila Garrett. She is the owner and operator and CEO of OLIVIA Rose Luxury, which is a self-care, get your body right kind of thing with the facial creams and lotions and things that make you look good and feel good. She's also going to talk about taking care of not just the outer beauty, but the inner, what it takes to get your insides together as far as get your mind set straight and, those things that go along with self-care. So, sorry, there's some feedback here. I'm just bad. There we go. All right. So without further ado, I bring you Miss Garrett. Hello, Jamila.
Hi, how are you?
I'm doing wonderful. How are you?
Good, good. Thanks for having me.
And thank you for being here. It is an absolute pleasure.
Sure.
We're being streamed from YouTube and Facebook. So.
Okay, great.
So, and after, when we get toward the end, I'll open it up for questions. If anybody has any questions or things they want to, talk about. But let's talk about how you got started with, OLIVIA Rose.
Yeah, sure. So again, my name is Jamila Garrett. I'm the CEO of OLIVIA Rose Luxury. And I got started interested in skincare from when I was a really young girl. I used to watch my mom give herself facial steams, and that prompted me to have an interest in not only skincare, but also looking at natural remedies. So my mom was sort of like the medicine woman, right? Everyone, I would watch the family call her and ask her, what herbs are good for this? Or what teas can I drink for this? So I would say that's how I got my foundation. Throughout my life as a teen, in high school, I would save my money to go to department stores to get skincare. I would go to, if you remember Hex, I'm dating myself.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. If you remember Hex, I used to remember going to counters. I would read ingredients. I would spend so much time in perfumes and getting samples of the perfumes and smelling them, and also magazines. So I would collect fashion magazines to not only look at fashion and style and beauty, but also there used to be and I think there still is, samples, and you could peel it open and you can smell the different scents. And I would love when the perfume company would tell the notes. So I would read and study and understand. I was like, oh, this smells good. I like the way this smells. So it's been a long journey up through adulthood. Now, I didn't start my venture into, I've been in business for 6 years. So it's luxury, vegan, skincare, and perfume. And what prompted me to start my own company and not just be a consumer of skincare I was on an airplane. And I was, those magazines that come in on the airplane, you can read while you're waiting to get set up to take off. Well, I was reading one of those and I saw a rose cream for about $500 or $600 just for a little jar of cream. And I said, wow, this is, I'm pretty sure, a great product.
Right.
Why can't I create something that's affordable, that's luxury, with top-notch ingredients, and still have make a beautiful impact on people's skin? So that was my prompt. That was my trigger to start OLIVIA Rose Luxury.
So do you make your own product, or is it something that you gave somebody the ingredients to and say, hey, look, you know what? I need you to whip me up some of this and then let me test it, or how does that work?
So I create my own formulas. I don't have anyone else create the formula. So I do my own formula creation. I'm mixing. My kitchen is my lab. So I have, when I'm creating, I have ingredients. I have oils. I have butters. I have creams. I'm mixing, measuring, tracking down my formulas to make sure my formula is consistent. And once I have a good consistent formula, I'm testing it. So I have a group of testers. So it really, on average, and for example, I have a new night face cream that's launching this month. So just to give you an idea of how long it takes to produce a product from conception, well, first from my customers' needs, then all the way from the concept and then to actual finished product that's ready to be sold is about 4 to 5 months.
Wow.
And that's because I don't use any preservatives, any toxins. Everything is fresh. Everything is vegan and cruelty free. So no animal testing, no chemicals. I blend, mix, test, all of that just to make sure that my product is quality. And that also everything is made to order. So I don't have inventory sitting around because my products have a 30-day shelf life. So as the orders come in, I make them, I ship them off to the customers, and they have it very fresh. So I'm very proud of that process, but it does take some time to measure. And I do everything.
But wait, and you work a full-time job as well?
I do. I'm a corporate, I'm a director of training from a corporate perspective. So I do adult learning, learning programs, facilitation and stuff like that. I'm also a certified cultural facilitator and certified in diversity, inclusion, equity, and belonging.
Wait. What was that? In layman terms.
Yes. So I work for a company where I'm responsible for training employees from new hires that join to continuing education for employees, development, manager development, leadership development, new hire training and stuff like that.
All right. Go ahead with your bad self. You have grown up to be a pretty wonderful woman.
Thank you.
And because I remember when you were, well, never mind. I won't date myself either. But I do remember this little girl and her sister that was running around, and she was a handful. She was definitely a handful, Your grandfather, I would be remiss if I did not talk about him.
Sure. Mr.
Wilson German was a wonderful gentleman. I mean, he allowed me to come into you all's family, and everybody, we just went. If y'all went, I went, and he was just that kind of guy. He worked at the White House, and he met so many different people.
Yes.
His influence on you, what was that like? From the granddaughter, because see, I saw him as the Mr. German. That's what he was to me, Mr. German. So for you being the granddaughter, what was that like living and being, coached by him?
Yeah, so I would say my biggest takeaway from my grandfather was authenticity and grit. Coming from North Carolina, moving his family up to DC, working at the White House for 55 years. You have to, and servicing, numerous presidents. You have to be authentic. You have to be your authentic self and consistent, and also work hard. So my work ethic, my determination to be successful definitely comes from him. I can also say the smelling good perfume. He was always very much groomed. So if you think about how he had to show up at the White House every single day, you had to be groomed, crisp. So there I would watch him get ready, from polishing his shoes, from the suspenders, from the shirts and the suits. So this was something I got a chance to observe, and I think it transformed into me taking it to a level of making sure that I only not look good, but I ensure that I make a product that will help my customers look good as well. So definitely that grit and authenticity, being your whole self, and always showing up when it's time to show up.
Yeah, he did, and he was always cordial. I never saw him. Now I'm sure he had his moments, but I never saw him out of line. He was always composed. you know, it was like, okay,
Yes.
you know, and he was soft spoken.
Yes,
You
very
know,
much so, and he never yelled, which was
but
amazing. So even though there could have been situations where there was opportunities to yell, he
mhm,
handled every situation with a tact
yes,
and very diplomatic, and
yes,
never ever yelled or raised his voice, and still
and
got his point
never,
across.
yeah, I never heard
Yes.
him yell. It was always if something happened, he fixed it, and I'm sitting there waiting for the, you know, the top to blow, and it's like, and then everybody's doing whatever it is, and you know, I'm like, wow, you know,
Yeah.
he was a great man,
Yes.
and I'm sure that you miss him, but I'm sure he's still here,
Oh,
you know,
absolutely.
and the lessons that he taught you, you are teaching,
Oh yeah,
and that's a
absolutely.
good thing, you know.
Yes.
And now I noticed that you have, because I noticed that your products are not just geared toward women.
Correct.
And so I was, you know, doing a little bit of research, and okay, being nosy, if you want to say, and you know, going through the website, and I saw some things for men as well. So it's not just for women to, you know, take care of their skin, because I know for me, I have oily skin,
Hmm. Hmm.
and so I use the Noxzema, but I looked at I see you have a little thing for men where you exfoliate the skin, you know, for your
Yes.
face. So
Yes.
I'm gonna I'll be investing in some of that,
Oh,
because
thank
I
you.
guess I want something natural. You know, the
Yes.
Noxzema, you can, you know, it has that smell, and I've been using it for so long. I'm like, well, you know what? Maybe I should try something different.
Oh yeah, definitely. Come on over.
I definitely will. You know,
And actually,
and
my,
like
my
you,
men's line, yeah, my men's
yeah,
line is the inspiration for my men's line is my grandfather, so it's called German Skin after him. His
yeah,
last.
okay. I
Yes.
saw that. Now,
Yes.
the name Olivia Rose,
Mhm.
where did that come from?
So Olivia was my grandmother, um, Mr. German's wife,
Okay.
and she had a rose garden right there at the house in DC on
Wow.
Circle, and that was her favorite flower. And I also adopted that favorite flower and favorite scent. So it's the name is to help keep her legacy alive.
Okay.
Just like I named the men's line after him. So it's an ode to both of them, with
Okay.
the solid inspiration and foundation from my mother.
Okay. Well, go ahead with your bad self. I really admire you. You know, coming from, you know, starting as a kid and understanding that, okay, you know, you watch your mom, she do all these things, and then all of a sudden it just came, and that goes with like the meditation. I remember I was
Yes.
listening to something, and they talk about how ideas come when you're quiet.
Yes.
You know, so and I think about how I came up with BHOP Nation. I was laying across the bed, and it was quiet, and these, you know, the thoughts just start rolling. And do you meditate as
I do.
well?
Yes, I do meditate daily, numerous times a day. So I got a chance to, back in 2018, I got a chance to travel to India, and I was there for about a month and a
Wow.
half. And even prior to that, I was doing meditation, but it wasn't consistent, and I probably was not doing it properly. But I thought what I was doing was meditation. But I went to India for a work trip, and I was there for a month and a half, and that is when I got connected with. So if you don't know, India meditation is really big in India. So I was
Mhm.
talking to one of my coworkers saying I was interested. I heard that a lot of people who traveled there for work was got educated on meditation. So I connected with one of my Indian coworkers. He connected me with the trainer, and from there, it was the rest was history. I traveled to her apartment 3 days consecutively because that's what I told. That's what I was told that needed to be done for an
Okay.
hour. And we meditated in her apartment, and she trained me. She gave me books and resources to take back that I love so much that I read all of the time. And from there, like I said, the rest was history. I meditate in the morning for a solid hour, sometimes more. And then I also do a cleansing meditation in the evening just to get everything,
Okay.
get the day off. Because sometimes when you're having trouble sleeping, when you try to sleep and then all these thoughts are rushing through your
Oh
head,
yeah. Oh
so
yeah.
cleansing helps minimize some of that. So when it's time for me to go to sleep, I go to
You can
sleep.
actually get
Just
some
to
rest.
actually get some rest. But it's, meditation is just allowing the thoughts to come to your head. It's not about clearing your mind. It's about allowing it. So if you think of a sky, so if you think of your mind as the sky and you think of thoughts as clouds, just let them come and go.
Okay.
And you can also use breathing to focus on. You can use the environmental sounds that you hear to focus on. So there's a lot of different methods to meditation, but it is something that is definitely to self-care for me. It works for me, and I love it. It helps me stay focused.
Yeah, because I think I've been looking at it the wrong way. When you just said to me about clearing, it's not to clear your mind.
No.
It's to focus.
Yes.
And see what I was doing, I'm sitting there and I'm like trying to keep these thoughts out of my head. Now the whole time I'm listening to the lady, you know, she's giving me the instructions, but I'm hard-headed. You know, she's saying, you know, if the thought comes in, let it come and let it go. Yes. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, the thought's coming in, I'm like, get back. You know, so I understand now that I'm doing it wrong, that I should just let it come and let it go. And
you can bring yourself back too. So if it's your breath, the easiest way is just focus on your breath. Inhale, exhale. So let those thoughts come and go. And it also takes practice. Meditation is just like riding a bike. You have to continually do it in order to do it for longer periods of time, and then also feel comfortable doing it and get some benefit out of it.
Okay, now how do you do that without? Because see, that's another thing. I fall asleep.
That means it takes you to a place of rest. Relaxation.
Okay, so that's not a bad thing.
No, that's not bad.
Okay, because I'll be sitting there and I'll just, next thing you know, the eyes are closed and the noise, whatever it is I'm listening to is going. And then next thing I know, now I have it set for like an hour. I said, well, I'm going to, I'll meditate for about 15, 20 minutes.
Yeah.
And next thing you know, whatever I was listening to has gone off. So I'm like, okay, I missed something somewhere because I had this thing set for like 45 minutes to an hour and it's already gone off. And so I'm like, okay, well, I guess everything is straight. I'm focused, but I have to be more consistent with it.
Yes, definitely. Yeah.
Okay. And what books do you suggest?
I'm sorry, say that again.
What material do you suggest? Like read, you said that the person that you met in India,
yes,
they gave you some books and.
Yeah, so I would suggest there's some really good apps to use to help you. One is called Calm.
I've heard of that.
Yeah, Calm is a good one. Even if you just look up different meditation apps and see what works for you, because there's so many different methods to utilize. So when I meditate now at this point, I don't need anything. I don't use anything. But I also started off in smaller increments as well. So 5 minutes, 10 minutes, and growing and growing and growing. Now I'm up to maybe an hour and a half. But I can also meditate anywhere. I can meditate when I'm driving.
Okay, wait.
It's all about being able.
How do you do that? See, that to me that sounds frightening. But how do you? Because see, I'm basing off of my experience of meditating, and I'm sitting here and I'm like da 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 da, and the next thing you know, probably sitting in somebody's yard or something like that. So how do you meditate while you're driving?
So one thing, you've been driving for a long time, and so have I. So when you're driving, you're at a level of unconscious competence, which means you can do it without thinking. You can drive without thinking. So someone who is a beginner driver, right? They're at their level at incompetent conscious, which means they don't know what they know, right? So they have to get in, think about, let me put my seatbelt on. Okay, let me check my mirrors. We do this automatically without thinking because we know how it's embedded in us. We know how to do it. So therefore, I'm not thinking about, I need to turn my wheel to turn left. So that's one part of it. And then meditation, it just comes from deep breathing. So I deep breathe and then I can focus my mind on certain thoughts or focus or be in a focused mode without necessarily focusing on operating the car, which I know how to do without thinking.
Okay. Yeah. All right, cool. That sets that straight because now it makes sense because I'm sitting here.
Now, if you're just starting to meditate, I would not recommend it. Again, I've been trained.
Okay. All right, cool. Thank you for letting me know that because I can see me now getting in the car. Me and my wife are driving somewhere and she's like, wait a minute, what are you doing? I'm like, I'm meditating. What do you mean? trying to focus. I can figure out where we're going and what we're doing. So yeah, okay, I got that part. But I do need to get back into meditating. And I think I may suggest it for my son. It may help because his mind is always racing.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's like he's I mean, it's like all the time. And sometimes you wake up in the middle of the night and the light's on, and he's in there. He's either reading or working on. He's a an influencer on YouTube as well. He's running about 5 channels, so he's always got stuff going on in his head. So he really doesn't get the proper sleep. And I guess he figures also because he's young, he can kind of get away with it. But I may suggest to him, he'll tell me, "Dad, you're crazy," but I don't need that. I got this under control. When we're young, we think we know everything, and
yes,
so I'll mention it to him. But I think I want to get back into it. I want to start doing yoga.
Yeah, I do yoga as well. Yeah.
Okay. I've seen some videos of you dancing. You do ballet or what is that dance thing? Or you just out of the head dancing, or have you been trained?
I've been trained. I danced on a college level. I was on a part of a dance theater, so it was a combination of ballet, jazz, modern, ethnic, some hip hop as well. So it's something that I enjoy. I've been dancing forever, all my life. But when I went to college, I auditioned for a dance theater and made it, and we did different shows throughout the year. So it was amazing. So I love performing. I love dance and movement, and it also links to the arts, which I love as well.
Okay. Yeah, because I've seen a couple of videos of you on YouTube just, or either you're just, I mean, it's just like, I'm like, she's just so full of life and just, I'm sitting there and I'm like, I walk a certain way and my knees go, crack, crack, crack. Okay, I really need to do something different. And I also saw a video of you talking about how you had pulled something or done something to your knee.
Yes, yes.
And instead of going to the hospital or the doctor, you kind of fixed it yourself.
I did.
How?
And let me put a disclaimer out there. I'm not saying that if you have a major injury to not go to the hospital. Please go to the hospital and take care of yourself. So what I did was very minor. So I was dancing in my living room, which I love to do, just put on music and let it flow. And I did a leap and I landed on my knee wrong. And so I knew it wasn't major. It was very painful, but I knew it wasn't major. And so one of the things I learned about meditation is the power of the mind. And that if you don't change your thoughts, there's no way your actions can change. And a lot of people try to change their actions, which is why you see a lot of people saying, "Oh, I want to go on a diet." They go on a diet, but then they go right back to their eating habits. It's because they did not, their old eating habits. And that's because they did not change their minds first. So your mind has to change. It's extremely powerful, and it can also dictate what your body does. So for about, I guess, 2 weeks, I was limping around, and I mean significantly limping. I could not, I usually run up and down the steps. I had to take it one step at a time, and that's not normal for me, and I was not happy. I think I even gave an example where my daughter and I were walking to the car. She was steps ahead of me. I had to walk slowly, and I didn't like that feeling. So I just decided that I'm going to put things in action to help heal my knee. So I started working. I started walking on it. I started working on it. I put on ankle weights. I started telling myself and already putting myself in a state of gratitude. So that's one way to help change your mindset and also change your situation, is to put yourself in a state of gratitude. Already be thankful for the end result that you want. Already tell yourself it's happened already. Not, "Oh, I'm going to try," or, "Oh, I'm going to see what happens." So I just kept saying in my meditation, I'm grateful to have my knee completely healed. I'm grateful to be able to run up and down the stairs. I'm grateful to be able to dance again. And with that, I still put in work. I want you to know it's not just making those things. It's also action. So I also put in the work. And a couple of weeks after that, my knee is absolutely 100% perfect.
Okay.
I've done some reading. There's a book called Becoming Supernatural, and forgive me, I cannot remember the author. Oh, Dr. Joe Dispenza, I believe, and
I've
forgive
heard
me
of
if
him.
the name is wrong. So
Dr.
Becoming
Joe.
Supernatural, it talks about the ability to heal yourself with your mind. Now I'm reading that and I use some of the techniques from that book to help me.
Okay. All right. I'm gonna have to, because I also like to tell people that, if you want to change where you're going or what you're doing, you want to change your lifestyle, you first have to start with changing your mindset.
That's first,
You
yes.
can't just, you can put on makeup and you can lose weight and you can wear the fancy clothes and look good. But if you do not change the way you think and your mindset, you're just still the same person.
Yeah,
You
and
know,
you won't
so
be consistent. That's the thing. The consistency won't be there. Yeah, you can do it for a short amount of time, but you won't be consistent. Not if your mindset is not changed. No, it won't.
okay, that makes sense.
Hmm.
You have to, and being grateful. You
Yes.
have to be. I mean, it that
Yes.
that to
Gratitude.
me should be number one.
That's number one. Gratitude is
when,
number one.
when you wake up in the morning,
Yes.
the first thing you should be is grateful, because I hear people, they wake up and they complain. They put their feet on the floor. Oh my goodness, the floor is cold and I can't stand it.
Hmm.
Well, you're missing the big picture.
You're
First of
already
all,
putting. You're already
you're
dictating your
awake
day. Yep. You're
and you're
already
able to
dictating your
feel
day.
your feet on the floor.
Yes.
There's some people that went to bed the night before and had all these plans of what they were going to do,
Hmm.
and they didn't get up the next morning. So you should always be grateful, if nothing else, for that at that particular time. For me, I wake up and I'm grateful. Everything else is a bonus. And I like to tell people, I'm just glad to be here amongst the land of the living. Everything else, I can handle it. And if I can't handle it, then it wasn't meant for me to be involved with it. So, I've complained very little, because
Yeah.
when you complain, you're saying that I'm not grateful for what I have. So how do you expect to get anything more if you're not happy with what you have? It'd just be like, man, hey, they don't want what they got. Why am I gonna give them some more?
Yeah.
So
Absolutely. Yeah, your thoughts are energy. So if you put it out there that, oh, it's Monday, oh, is this, or, this is bothering me at work, or I have to see or talk to this person today, you're already putting it, you're
yeah,
already setting the stage for what your day is going to be.
yeah, because what you put out is what you get back, and
Yes.
how you start your day is usually how your day goes, unless you do something to fix it. Every morning I get up and I listen to at least 20 minutes of something positive.
Hmm.
And that starts my day. And yeah, you go through the day and things happen, and all day it's not always hunky-dory all the time,
Sure.
but you learn how to balance it. When something happens, you learn how to let it go and understand that this is going to happen, why it happened, and then you move on,
Yes,
instead of
absolutely.
unpacking your bags and staying there.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'll also add to that, it's, you're going to have situations that are going to be frustrating. I have situations that are frustrating. It's going to be things that happens that you can't control. But what I can
Yeah.
control is my reaction
Mm-hmm.
to those situations. And that's what's important, to be able to control your emotions and control how you react to situations. That's when you have control. Otherwise, you're just letting the situation control you, which is a temporary situation.
Yes, that's like when you're going down the road rage and somebody cuts you off,
Right.
and the first reaction usually people have is to get back in front of them and flip them the bird, and the next thing you know, you've got this thing going back and forth, and sometimes it can escalate
Yes.
to a point where now they've gotten so upset that they've lost control.
Yes.
I was talking to a guy one day. He was like, all I saw was red, and I couldn't stop myself, because the brain works really fast. So you say, I didn't have time to think. Oh, you have more than enough time to think, because
Yes.
your brain works faster than you really realize. And you're like, okay, you know what? I'm gonna, people cut in front of me, and I'm like, you know what? It's just no need for me to be, because you don't know, where their mind is.
Right.
And so I
Or
go
why they
running
need,
up
maybe
on them,
they're,
and
maybe
yeah,
they're sick relatives, maybe they're trying to get somewhere fast. So it's
yeah,
also about understanding what other people are going through as well, and not just the impact it has on you. But once you understand that, that also helps you react differently to certain situations.
yeah. That's just like speaking to people. Some people,
Yeah.
you speak to them and they don't speak back, and people's first reaction is, man, Well, maybe I'd like to say either they didn't hear me or they have something on their mind. And, whatever the case may be, I give them the benefit of the doubt because they're not obligated to speak. They don't know me. I find myself speaking to, just any and everybody. And sometimes they speak back, sometimes they don't. But people are not obligated to speak to you. They don't have to. You people act like they're entitled. I spoke to you, so you better speak back to me. That's not how life works. It's just,
Yeah.
You make it more complicated sometimes than it has to be.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So, and now your poetry.
Yeah.
I understand you have 2 books.
Yes.
And you're working on the 3rd. Where can we find your poetry?
So I have my first 2 books. Well, I'll explain the concept behind my poetry.
Okay.
So my first 2 books are a part of the World Element collection. So each book represents an element of the world. So my first book is called Hurricane of Butterflies, and it represents air. My second book, which I released, I think maybe a year and a half later, is called Volcano, and it represents fire.
Okay.
My third book, which is called Slither, represents water, and that will be released this May. And then my last book in this collection will represent Earth, and that will be sort of the book that brings them all together.
Okay.
And so as far as where you can get them on my publisher's website, which is called exlibris.com. They're also available on Amazon as well.
Yeah, I'm just going to write it down.
It's going to be easier once I release, because now I have a website. When I released my first 2 books, I did not have a website. So you'll be able to get, once my 3rd book releases in May, I'm going to have all 3 available on my website, which is OLIVIARoseLuxury.com.
Okay.
So it'll be easier for everyone to go there. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, because the website right now is in the description. So
yeah.
Whoever just make sure you go
you'll
there.
be able to you'll be able to go to OLIVIARoseLuxury.com.
Yeah, so I'm gonna let them know to go to the description right now, click on the website, and bookmark the website so that it'll be there readily available, so you don't have to go searching and like, what was the name of that website?
Right.
You just go look in your favorites and it'll be there, and you can look at her poetry or get her some of her products.
Yes.
Because I'm definitely going to try out the men's exfoliating. I forgot what you call it.
Yeah, it's a body grit face and body scrub.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I'm definitely going to get some of that because like I said, my face, especially my face, it's oily, and I find that I should clean it every day or at least twice a day before I go to bed when I get up in the morning. But I don't, and I find that like in my glasses, I can see the results of the oiliness, in the lens. So yeah, and every time I get a new pair of glasses, I say, you know what? I'm going to start doing this daily. I'm going to make sure I clean my face and all that stuff. However, I never changed my mindset. So, prime example.
Yes.
We're all still works in progress.
Oh yeah.
So, I try not to beat myself up about certain things. I may forget or, like, why I'm not moving as fast as, and, I start comparing, and I understand that comparison is the thief of all joy. That is something that I learned. I listened to Lisa Nichols a lot, and that is one of her things, that comparison is the thief of all joy. Absolutely. So I have to remember that things come in time. When it's for you, it's for you. So I'm still working on that.
Yes.
But as I learn, I try to pass that information along. And that's why I came up with this concept for this show, is to have people on to talk about whatever it is. Today, it's self-care and poetry and learning how to meditate and those things. And a guy on last week talking about the street life and how he grew up and being able to give back. So it's coming along. A guy asked me, well, how do you get these people? I just ask. And that's all. You just all you can do is ask. Yeah. And if they're interested, they'll come on. If they're not, they'll say, and that's cool. For every no, if I get 10 no's, I know a yes is coming. So I just, take it from there.
Yeah,
So
that's great.
yeah. So let's see. Does anybody have any questions? Also out on Facebook, I have a couple of people. If you have any questions, let me know. I will ask Miss Garrett. Well, you call her Miss Garrett. I can call her Jamila. So. Yeah, but does anybody have any questions, suggestions, experiences? I did have one guy say he wants to see me do yoga live. He doesn't want that. He doesn't want to see that. I don't even want to see that. Not right now. So, I do think yoga would help me start focusing more, because I definitely, when you said something about the diet thing, yeah, I really need to do that, because when I first started, my son was like, I was in a sort of a dark place, and I was frustrated with myself. I wasn't working. It was along the time that the economy went bad the first time, and I lost my job, and I'm sitting in. And my son's like, Dad, you need to start listening to more positive things and exercise. I got the positive listening and reading. It's that exercise thing that keeps coming and going. So now I have this thing right here that I use as an armrest that probably shouldn't be here. So I've got my own little armrest, and I need to get rid of it. So I think yoga would help me, and I need to, just focus.
Yeah, and yoga and meditation sort of go hand in hand, and you do meditate when you do yoga as well. And there's a lot of classes and a lot of just online you can find. If you have Amazon Prime, there's some free yoga videos you can watch there for all different types of solutions that you may need. From I saw some for lower back pain. I saw some for yoga and meditation in one. So there's a lot of different ways you can approach yoga. And my advice to anyone who is starting yoga is to just start at your level and don't compare yourself to other people, because there's other people who've been doing it for a long time, and it may look intimidating when you could, but start where you are and stay consistent at it, and you will see a difference in your body in a very short amount of time.
Okay, yeah, because I remember I was scrolling through Instagram, and this lady was doing yoga, and how do you do this? And she said when she first started, she could barely cross her legs. Mm-hmm. Now she's almost rolled up into a ball that can roll down.
Wow.
Hey, I'm not trying to get that far, but if I do, then great, but I don't want to be tied up somewhere and tie myself up in a knot and be trying to get somebody to help me out. So I do find that, watching it looks to be comforting and helping you get through the day.
Yes.
So I'm gonna start looking at that, seriously, and trying to, some people say they don't have time, but we all have the same 24 hours. If you stop doing, there's certain things that we can cut out of our day. That's really not, helping us. And so, that's not, geared to work, working toward your goals. And if you stop doing that and replace that with other things, then you'll find that you will have the time. You make time for what you want. If you really want to do something, you'll make time for it.
Yep, that's true. People do what they want to do.
Yep, that is true.
Yes.
That is so true. They're sitting and they'll talk about it, but you really do what it is. If it's something that you want to get the latest, whatever it is, you'll figure out a way to make enough money to get it.
Yes.
You want to go somewhere, you'll figure out a way to make the time to go. So people should stop saying, I just didn't have enough. There's not enough time in the day. Oh, there is more than enough time in the day. Yeah. You look at what you're doing every day.
Yeah, it's an easy excuse, because if you haven't changed your mindset, then you're not going to have enough time in your mind if you don't evaluate how you're spending your time, and then look, like you said, look where you can cut some time down. If it's on social media, you need to cut back some of that time. If it's you're talking to your friends, whatever it is. Look at how you're spending your time and be aware and conscious. And that's another part of self-care too. Be aware and conscious of what you're doing, when you're doing it, and how long you're doing it. So then you can, once you have that awareness, you can go back and say, oh, well, I think I can trim down the time on this, or I think I can add more time in this area, and go from there.
Okay, yeah, because I was listening to a young lady and she was talking about how she blocks off X amount of time in her day just for her. No meetings, no children, no TV, no nothing. It's just for her to do whatever it is she needs to do for her. You know, she'll block off maybe an hour, depending on what it is. It may be 30 minutes or it may be an hour. Whatever it is, she blocks off that time. She has a schedule, you know, like a little book, and me time. I'm like, really? People really
so
do that?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I guess sometimes you should write it down.
Yes.
You know, that's my thing. I know as I get older, I need to write more, because trying to remember it, like sometimes I'll be sitting and I have a thought and I'm like, okay, I can do this. But by the time I go look for something to write on and something to write with, it's gone. Yeah. So what I have to practice doing is having a notepad and pen right there, so that when the thought comes, because as we get older, our brain doesn't function like it used to when we were 20, 25. So you got to write it down and get it straight, and it's there, and then you can go back to it.
Yeah, and that's also key to manifesting what you want. Another part of it is writing it down. Write down your goals. Write down what you have gratitude for. Write down what you want to change. I have numerous journals all over my house. I have one by my bed. I have one in my living room, one in my dining room. So wherever I am, I'm an ideas person. I'm a big picture and ideas person, and I know that. So ideas come to me consistently. Very, very similar to how you said your son just has all these ideas and doing all these things. I have a lot of moving parts in my life. So from my corporate job to my business to my daughter, who is a junior in high school. She's 16. Wow. So it's, it's time for her to start looking, at colleges and recruiting. And she also plays soccer. So there's a lot of, and she just actually launched her own cookie business.
Oh, you know what? I saw that.
Yes.
I saw that. Okay.
So there's a lot of moving parts.
Okay.
So
she's picked that up from her mom.
Yeah, it's important to me to have a journal so I can jot down. And journals are, to me, better than notepads, because journals you can flip back. Because sometimes I would just write down things on just numerous envelopes or things that I see laying around the house. And now those ideas are scattered. So with the journal, at least I can date it. I can flip back, and I can remember what I wrote down a month ago. But yeah, her cookie business is called Cookie Making Mia, and she is using her profits for college. And I'm very proud of her as a CEO. She hand bakes everything organically.
And does she have a website?
She has an Instagram page.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Send it to me, because I don't have my see naturally. I'm just being honest and transparent. Once my kids got out of school, I didn't feel you can't find an ink pen, a pencil anywhere. You would think that since they're out of school, I would be able to find all these things. But so if you could just send it to me, I'll make sure that I post it in the description and everything. And then as I go along, I'll blurt it out from time to time. Okay. Because I always want to do my part to help others. I find that, and something I learned, everybody can't be famous, but everybody can be great, and greatness comes with service.
Sure, yes.
So if people are doing things to help others, I think I have an obligation to help them get that information out. I don't mind being the vessel. Sure. I don't have to be the one that's performing it. I can be the vessel to help others get to the other side, or to reach other people. So, my ego's not that big where, it's like, what do you mean tell somebody? But I'm telling people about me. I'm not, you understand? I mean, because you do have people that are like that. Why should I share me, or why should I share you to these people? I want them to know me. And they may not even be interested in what you're doing. Maybe they want cookies, you know?
Right. Yeah.
You know, they don't want to know what you're doing. They don't care about, you know, you making t-shirts. So what? They hungry. They need sugar. They can't get sugar on a t-shirt. So yeah, I mean that's the way I see it. So I will, you know, get the information out.
Okay. Thank you. I appreciate that.
You are more than welcome. Does anybody have any questions? All right. Well, I gather not.
Okay.
Well, Jamila, I thank you so much
Sure.
for joining me.
Yeah. Thanks
I'll
for
be definitely be in touch, and maybe I'll maybe get you back on once you finish with the whole collection of books, and then we could just have you come on and talk about that.
Yeah. Sure.
You know, and share, you know, some of your experiences and how you get the poetry from your head to paper, the thought, the whole process.
Yes.
Of doing the book.
Yes, because that's a whole nother show.
Oh yeah. So we're gonna do
we'll
that.
need some time for that.
Okay, we'll do that. I promise to do that. I'll be in touch with you.
Okay.
Make sure you tell the family I said hello,
I will.
and that I love them dearly. They played a big part in my childhood, you know, growing up. So I appreciate it. So and I love them all, and thank you again. And you take care, and I wish you continued success.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thanks for everyone who joined to listen to this segment. And again, thanks for having me.
You're welcome. And I'll talk to you later.
All right. Thanks. Bye.
All right. You're welcome. Bye-bye. Again, that was Miss Jamila Garrett. She is the CEO of Olivia Rose Luxury, which is a line with, she has different creams and vegan body rubs and stuff like that. All of her stuff is organic, and she makes it herself. There's a men's and women's line. So fellas, all you fellas that are listening, you know, don't feel like, you know, it's just for women. You know, usually that's what happens. You know, they make stuff. Okay. Meditation. I should have been paying attention. To the people on Facebook, thank you all for coming in. Loretta, Tawanda, Thomas, my brother Donovan, Elena, everybody here in YouTube land. Keto Girl, Anisha L, how are you? Thank you for coming through. Of course, G Fam. He's always here. Aunt Maddie. I thank everybody for coming through. I appreciate it. I will be back on next week with another edition of Let's Talk One-on-One with Uncle David. Also, I'll be live Thursday evening. I'm trying to come up with a topic. I do need to talk about this van adventure. I'm trying to work on getting a vehicle. My son and I have been in discussions. So, thank you, Keto Girl. So I thank you all so much for coming through. I appreciate each and every one of you all. I will see you all again on Thursday. Definitely will see you all Friday night for UNC'S Juke Joint. So until we meet again, remember to be happy on purpose and know that I believe in you too. Good night.